Hello again. Welcome to another Fresh from the Theater review. Today I'm going to be giving my fresh thoughts on Halloween Ends. Where do I begin with this one? Guess the best place to start would be Halloween 2018. Halloween 2018 was the direct follow-up that completely erased the events of every sequel that came after the first one, even Halloween 2 from 1981, and it was a bit different, but I got into it, I enjoyed it. Had a few bad moments, but overall it was a pretty good watch, and I liked it. Although, it was pretty clear they were going to do more, and I just kept thinking one would have been enough, and then I heard they were going to do a whole trilogy, and I wasn't sure that was necessary, but I was up for seeing where they went with it. Halloween Kills was, honestly, at the time I saw it, the third worst Halloween film I had ever seen. It was just so fucking retarded and all over the place that it was pretty much on par with Halloween 5, and I didn't consider it quite as bad because it's pretty hard to beat the awfulness of Rob Zombie's Halloween, which I don't even want to ever rewatch outside of eventually doing a JMC review on it. Halloween Kills just made me so fucking angry when I watched it that I was pretty much livid afterwards, and it's been a while since I rewatched any part of my Fresh Thoughts review on that, but simply put, just pissed me the fuck off. And Halloween Ends, the third and supposedly final entry in this new trilogy. I was nervous, but my hope was it would at least be a little bit better than Kills. Because, well, Halloween 5, like, the best thing I can compare this to is the 4 through 6 trilogy, where 4 was very good, 5 very bad, and then 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, was also bad, but it wasn't nails on a chalkboard bad. It was more laughably bad, especially given the troubled production history it had, so I was a little hopeful, at least, that it would be a little step up from Halloween Kills, that maybe it would just be a good old slasher fun time, and I'm still not quite sure what to make of this one. If the last one was so bad that it made me angry, then this one was so bad that I was honestly kind of bored while watching it. I was so bored that I actually found myself almost nodding off at several points during the film. I guess the best place to start would be the plot, because this is as far removed from a Michael Myers movie, while still being a Michael Myers movie, as you could possibly fucking get. The opening scene has this new character named Corey Cunningham, original, played by Rowan Campbell, babysitting this spoiled, pissy little brat, and while babysitting him, the kid locks him in a closet, and he becomes so frustrated trying to get out that he kicks the door open, which accidentally knocks the kid backwards and over the railing in his home, killing him. And the parents freak out, he gets arrested, and he's branded as a child killer from there on out, even though it was an accident, but he didn't do himself any favors as far as not looking guilty. From this opening scene, I could really start to see some problems, like, once again, like the last one, the opening goes on way too long, and it just doesn't feel like a Michael Myers movie. In fact, Michael Myers is barely in this film, and the stuff with this Corey character, this new character, he's pretty much the main focus of the film. It's like about his story, and a couple of years after accidentally killing this little brat, he comes across Laurie Strode, played once again by Jamie Lee Curtis, and her granddaughter Allison, played by Andy Medicek. It's hard to know how to pronounce these names. We see that Laurie and Allison, after the death of Karen, Judy Greer's character from the last film, have healed and Moved On, which really feels completely out of left field. Like, it feels like a big shift from the last film. And I know a few years have passed, but the way they took these characters really doesn't feel like it matches up with the previous film. We see that Laurie has moved on. She's healed to the point that she's not drinking anymore. She actually decorates for Halloween as kind of a happy person. And I don't know how else to put it other than this doesn't feel like Laurie Strode. And I'm not talking like it doesn't feel like the character from the movie that came out over 40 years ago. It doesn't even feel like the same character from the last two movies. Jamie Lee Curtis, she does, as always, a great job with what she's given, but the way they have Laurie written here, she feels like a completely different character, and I know they're supposed to have had her heal and change, but they changed her a little too much, in my opinion. The Allison character, who's now a nurse, she's trying to move on, and she comes across Corey, thanks to her grandmother seeing him, and for some reason thinking that they'd be a good match. And yeah, that's the main plot of the film, pretty much. This Corey character, who's been branded a child killer, hooking up with Laurie Strode's granddaughter, and the whole movie kind of has a melodrama feel to it. Like, there is a lot of talking, a lot of drama, a lot of romantic angst in this, and there's so much talking, I almost wondered, did Judd Apatow take a part in the making of this? Just, it went on a little too long. Like, this movie, like the last one, is about an hour and 50 minutes, and while the last one was really bad, it at least had some action to it, and it didn't feel like it was dragging on for an hour and 50 minutes. This one, you felt the length, and most of the time, I didn't even feel like I was watching a horror movie. It felt, again, like a melodrama, and it felt like just a character study of these two characters. And then, at certain points in the film, we see Michael Myers is, no shock, still alive, and he's just been laying dormant, which, again, Laurie has cooled down, moved on, but considering they never caught him at the end of the last film, I'm surprised that she was able to live in peace for so long. And Corey, while dealing with some bullies, almost falls to his death before being rescued by Michael, dragged into the sewer where he's been hiding for the past several years. And for some reason, he doesn't kill him. And for a moment I wondered, is this all going on in Corey's head? But no, it's real, and mixed with the trauma that he has endured post the death of the kid from the beginning, he just snaps and starts becoming a killer in his own right, and he goes back to the sewer. He and Michael sort of, and yeah, this is what happens. Corey, this new character, and Michael Myers form this sort of mentor-apprentice serial killer relationship, which, if you thought the Laurie Strode character was just being written out of character, then this is really goddamn out of character, because this has never happened before, and someone may argue maybe Michael finally found that one person he has a special connection with, but for me, it was just too much. It was too far gone. It didn't match up to anything I had seen before, and this kind of thing maybe could have worked if Corey had been some kind of relative. I mean, this was a potential plot for Halloween 5 before they completely backpedaled on Jamie Lloyd being the next killer, but the way they went with this here, it didn't make any sense, and again, I just couldn't believe what I was watching. I know I'm probably repeating myself, but this did not feel like a Halloween film. It didn't feel like a Michael Myers story. And while a lot of people at the time gave Halloween 3 Season of the Witch shit for not being like the other Halloweens, that movie at least knew, and I like that movie, but that movie at least knew to make it its own thing, completely separate from the Michael Myers storyline. This one is a Michael Myers movie where Michael barely plays a part in it until the last third, and we got this new character and this relationship he's forming with Allison, and the thing is, I could see this plot line with the Corey character, the Allison character, working if it was its own movie, maybe with original characters, but being a direct follow-up to all the shit that went down in Halloween Kills, I just found myself sitting here thinking, I don't care. I don't give a shit about these new characters, and I didn't even think that much of Allison in the last movie. I just sat here thinking, this is going on way too long, and we're not getting to what we want to see in a Halloween film, because the trailer that I saw, the original trailer, made it look like it was going to finally be Laurie and her big showdown with Michael Myers, but that doesn't come until pretty much near the end. For the most part, it's just the Allison and Corey character dicking around, and it could have worked, but because it's already part of this iconic franchise that already has a lot set up with the Laurie character, I just found myself wishing we had more of her, and by the end, I was just looking at my watch, waiting to see if we were near the end yet. So, before I move into the end of the film spoiler territory, I guess the basic 3 questions that I had going in were, would this be better than Halloween Kills? And the answer is no. In a way, this film is worse, just in the sense that Halloween Kills pissed me off to no end, but it had some real oomph behind it. Like, the people behind the camera just went nuts with the story and the content, but you could tell they were going full Bruno Mattei with what they had. Here, it just feels like a slow, pretentious art film version of the Halloween saga, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I really don't have any interest in ever rewatching Rob Zombie's Halloween outside of review reasons, but even someone like me can tell Rob Zombie's Halloween has way more watchability than Halloween Ends, at least Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie. This film just, I was barely awake by the end, and I don't think I could ever rewatch this again without just, there was some moments where I was actually, this is the 3rd movie I've ever seen that I was half tempted to get up and walk out on. The only others have been Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, which that's a whole another story for another day, and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So if Halloween Kills was the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, in the sense that it made me so angry, then Halloween Ends is the best thing I can compare it to, the Heaven's Gate of the Halloween franchise. Just goes on way too long. You feel how long it goes on. Feels like it has its head so far up its ass, you find yourself just not caring about the majority of the characters, and what little of the story that there is would barely amount to 1/3 of the film's screen time if they just cut out all the bullshit. The other questions would be, was this trilogy necessary? And no, I don't think it was. I think Halloween 2018 could have been its good own standalone sequel, and if they had not done the cliffhanger ending from that film, then it could have been a pretty decent wrap-up of the franchise, but no, they just had to keep going. And for anyone thinking that this is the true end of the Halloween franchise, I don't buy it for a fucking second. they probably won't continue this particular trilogy, but knowing how this series works, they're either gonna make another remake, or they're gonna make another fucking reboot in about 10 years or so. And some people have been asking, does this particular movie at least give a satisfying conclusion to this trilogy on its own? And no, even with Halloween Kills being as awful as it is, this movie does not give this rebranding of the franchise any sense of satisfying closure or justice, if you can call it that. And now for the spoiler talk, and if you still want to see this film and not know how it ends entirely, then jump to this time mark here, but if not, then stay tuned and I will tell you how this supposed conclusion to the franchise wraps up. So bad, I gotta bring the hair down. Just gotta bring it down. Okay, Halloween Ends has Corey actually beating and stealing Michael Myers' mask and putting it on, heading to the Strode home to kill Laurie, because even though she kinda introduced Corey to her granddaughter, she no longer approves, saying that she can see the evil in his eyes that she saw in Michael's, and he's successfully convinced Allison to run away from Haddonfield with him. And before they get to that, he goes to Laurie's home, where for a moment they make it look like Laurie's gonna commit suicide, which I honestly wasn't sure what they were gonna do, because everything else has been so unpredictable, and part of me, despite not liking this, I was really hoping they wouldn't go that route, because that would have been so much more insulting to the character than what they did with her in Halloween Resurrection. But Corey shows up, Laurie, in one of the few cool moments of the film, tricks him into thinking that she's killed herself and then shoots him right in the chest and the neck. Corey, with the mask off, has this little one-off with Laurie before taking the knife and stabbing himself. And then the real Michael shows up and we get the scene that was promised in the original trailer. And despite getting stabbed in the neck, when Michael goes to put his mask back on, Corey comes back and tries to grab him. And this is another thing. There are many moments where you think something is over, a particular character, a particular plot line, and then it just keeps going. Michael and Laurie have their big face-off in the kitchen, where we get probably the only really awesome scene in the film, where Laurie successfully pins Michael to the kitchen table with knives in the hands, and she actually manages to kill him. And the way they do it, there is no possibility he could have survived this. She even takes off his mask, and even though it's a little obscured, we get probably the most clear view of Michael's fucking face throughout the whole fucking franchise, even more than the ending of the first Halloween. And I like this scene. I just wish it was in a much better put together movie. Allison shows up. She at first is upset about Corey getting killed, but then she partakes in helping her grandmother oversee the death of Michael. Will Patton's character shows up again, and in a moment that just makes you sit there with your jaw dropped at how crazy it is, the whole town comes together, all of Michael's surviving victims, the police force pretty much give the okay to destroy the body. I mean, I know he's already dead, but it's like everybody has lost any ability to be sensible, and they've all just gone full psycho, which I'm sure is meant to have some deep meaning behind it, like Michael has pushed them all to this edge, and they're all too far gone, but it just comes off as unbelievably dumb and pretentious beyond words. And then they put his body through a junkyard crush grinder, and yeah, there's no coming back from this, so they do another Halloween. They really need to retcon again, or just do another fucking remake. And Laurie, Allison, Will Patton's character, they all pretty much get a happy ending, and that's pretty much where it ends. We see Halloween ends flash, and then just the word ends, I guess, to signify this is the fucking ending. And it ends with the song Don't Fear the Reaper playing, which I'll admit was a good choice, but yeah, I just sat there bewildered. This was supposed to be the conclusion in their eyes, so they should have gone all out. I mean, I know the last film went a little too all out, but they should have just had it be a good action slasher film, but they went this very Michael Cimino type route, and I'm honestly a little at a loss at this point, because I think I've exhausted all I can say, and I've repeated myself way too much, but if there's any pros I had to give, and I took the time to write them down, the opening scene where the Corey character is babysitting the brat who he accidentally kills. They're watching on TV John Carpenter's The Thing, which it was just nice to see that movie getting a little showcase love, because I don't know if I've mentioned this before in these reviews. John Carpenter's The Thing is my all-time favorite film. Not just horror film, but all-time favorite movie I've ever seen in my life, so it's nice to see them give it a little love, which does beg the question, if John Carpenter exists, like he made The Thing in this movie's universe, then is there a stand-in for Halloween, like Last Action Hero style? I mean, that just raises a whole lot of questions that I'm just suddenly realizing. But, yeah, the death of Michael Myers, again, was a pretty well-executed scene. Some other deaths, which are always some of the big standouts of these films, are the Blowtorch Death to the main bully, who was picking on the Corey character. He kills this kid who's been bullying him by blowtorching his face off, which, that was a pretty sick death. Although, I just gotta mention this. The Corey character, while he could have been interesting in his own movie again, I find it a little hard to take this guy seriously, considering for the first half of the movie, this guy is in his mid-20s and he's being bullied by kids who are 8 to 15 years younger than him. And there's this other character, this obnoxious DJ, and this is another big thing. Throughout the film, people are hating on Laurie Strode, feeling that the reason they lost their loved ones was because she pushed Michael Myers to kill, which... What?! Anyway, there's this obnoxious DJ who keeps making jokes about Laurie Strode and her family and the death of Michael Myers' victims, which, considering this guy operates out of Haddonfield, I'm surprised nobody took a pitchfork mob to his place even sooner. We get this scene where Corey, I believe in the Michael Myers mask, goes to the station and kills the DJ by cutting his tongue out, which, okay, that was a well-done kind of poetic moment. And the tongue lands on the record for the music he's playing, so whenever it spins, the record scratches because it bumps over the tongue. That was a fun, grisly moment. The last thing I'll give it some props for is I was worried she would make an appearance, but she really is dead. Karen, she really did stay fucking dead, and while that wasn't enough to save the film, I'm glad at least that character did not return. And as for the music in this film, which was co-composed again by John Carpenter and his son Cody and Daniel Davies, there were some decent moments, but like Halloween Kills, I found myself really distracted by the rest of the film that it was hard to fully appreciate. Maybe if I listened to it on its own, because I've listened to some of the Halloween Kills music on its own separate from the movie, and you take it away from the actual film, it really is a good Carpenter type score. And James Jude Courtney as Michael Myers, The Shape. He wasn't featured enough, but for what they used of him, he was a good crusty old Michael. And yeah, I can't think of much more to say, and I'm not sure I came off well in this review, but this was just a jaw-droppingly bad film, not just as a Halloween entry, but just as a film in general. I cannot believe how badly they went with these new batch of sequels. Halloween 2018, I will stand by, was a very decent reboot, but Kills and Ends are good examples of why just because you can make more doesn't necessarily mean you should. And if you enjoyed this film, because I know a lot of people really enjoyed Halloween Kills, then good for you. At least you were able to enjoy it, and if you did, maybe leave a comment. Let me know what you thought, and so that's it. I have a few more videos coming out this month before October wraps up, and hopefully all of you are having a spooky-ass month of horror.